What's going on,
Hello.
fans of the CPC? Jolt here from the Token Minorities, joined by the lovely RizzyPOW. Say hello.
Yo, this is RizzyPOW.
And we are here with the Week 5 Power Rankings for the CPC. We're going to keep this short and sweet. Sorry this video is late. We had some stuff come up, and yeah, it just kind of delayed us a little bit. But without further ado, we're going to go ahead and dive right on into this with our number 16, who we both have here at the same position, and that is the Arizona Dactyls, coached by Volume. Again, picking up a loss this week against the Carolina Pantherians in a relatively close game again. So really, he's had a lot of close games this season, so it makes it kind of hard for me to justify keeping him at 16 when he really has played with everyone that he's been against all season, but it just so happens that he's kind of stuck here for the time being until he picks up a win, which I really do think he'll be able to pick up more wins further along in the season, but this is just kind of where he is right now. But I really have liked his use of Articuno throughout the season. He brought a pretty cool set against Techno this week with the Choice Scarf to revenge a Choice Scarf Heat Trend, but ultimately just couldn't quite pull through, so he is going to remain here for now.
Nice.
So
So, next up, we got the Coconut Crocodiles.
the Coconut Crocodiles, heck yeah.
On purpose to be, okay, I said that one on purpose. But we got the Connecticut Crocodiles 681 Shadow. He ended up playing Yost, which is currently like the #1 team in the league. So like he was one of the lowest teams, and he was going up against one of the highest teams. So he ended up not winning, but there's a lot of cool stuff this match. Like Yost brought a Icium Z free shock Power Black, and it one-shot a Snorlax. I don't think that's thick fat Snorlax, but like if it is, that's kind of
No, there's no way that's thick fat.
Yeah,
No way.
there's no. But it still one-shot a Snorlax. What? How did that happen? Doesn't. He killed a Current Black with a Primate, which is also cool. He brought Primate, which is pretty cool. He got flinched down by a nasty plot Togekiss, which was sad. But yeah, there was pretty like the Yost had like the momentum the entire game. Like there's some cool stuff like Primate did some stuff like killing the Kyurem, and like nasty plot Togekiss kind of destroyed him as well, because even though he had like I mean I guess it not really a counter Steelix, because like it just got flinched down. So yeah, he just kind of ended up losing to Greninja at the end as well. So not too much to talk about this match. So I'm just going to move on to the next. We got Will the RNG Lord today. He went up against somebody really cool. Let
Rhine
me find
Valley.
it. Oh, he went up against a Rice Fool. So both of these teams are pretty low. Each of them only had one win coming into this week. Actually, Rice Pool didn't have a single win. But yeah, there some stuff that happened. So Mega Kangaskhan, like really early on, it missed an Iron Tail against a Clefable, which absolutely sucked for Will, and then it just got Thunder Wave, and that actually hurt him a lot, because I don't think that Rice Pool, I don't think just looking at the match, I don't think he had the best prep for Mega Kangaskhan, because it was just offensive Mega Kangaskhan. There's no really good Rocky Helmet users on his team, and like everything on his team actually got like 2-shot or anything. So that missed beginning and getting Thunder Wave like that really sucked for Will, and in the end he just was not able to come through. I was gonna talk a little bit about the some of Rice Pool sets, but we'll talk about them in a bit when I get to them. Also Lumberry Volcarona actually saved him a lot. I was able to give him a kill onto that Clefable, because it was like this is like max special attack Volcarona, probably because it was able to. How much did it do to the Cliff? Oh, actually no, it only did 35%, but it was able to 2-shot a Clefable at some point and get rid of it. I'm assuming that's unaware Clef, probably for Volcarona to help versus it. But yeah, in the end, he just wasn't able to come through. He got pretty close. It ended up being a super close game. If he was able to hit the Iron Tail, it might have been completely different. But we can now move on to the next team, which is Jolt. The
Yeah.
Portland Trail Blazekins.
The Portland Trail Blazekins mused the best, picking up a loss in a very close game against Togavor and the Portland Timbers. Really, the game was a nail biter throughout the entirety of the game. Just came down to like a 2 versus 2 scenario where Togavor had a Tangrowth with Synthesis that was able to continuously recover up on the specially offensive threats that Andrew had on his side. I believe he had like a Latias and a Miss Magius left at the end of the game, and just couldn't break through the Tangrowth at all. And I do think that might have been attributed to a misplay or two late game where he could have left the Tangrowth in a position where it would not be able to recover up out of range of the Latias. Also might have been remedied by having something besides stored power for the stab on the Lati, but obviously hindsight is 20/20 and a loss is a loss, unfortunately for him. But yeah, so he's now 1-4. I believe I moved him down maybe 1 position from last week. Yeah, I think he was at 12 last week, so not a big drop, losing to another team roughly in his area of the power rankings. But knowing him, knowing the caliber of player that he is, I know he can bounce back if he can just catch a little bit of a hot streak. But, you know, I guess we'll see what happens on that. So we're going to kick it back over to RizzyPOW for number 12, where we can talk about RizzyPOW a little bit.
All right, we're talking about my boy RizzyPOW, all right? So actually, I just talked about him earlier, but he went up against Will, and again, we just talked about this match a little bit. Not too much to talk about. Sub Heracross with arm thrust was really cool. You don't really see arm thrust on Mega Heracross too often, but that was kind of nice to see. You know, some spice. You know, but not really much that. Nothing much else to say. Clefable, the Thunderwave Clefable was pretty nice. If you didn't have like Lumberry on the Volcarona, that'd have been, you know, really helpful for RizzyPOW. He was also able to paralyze the Mega King really early, and dodging the Iron Tail was super good for RizzyPOW. Paloston was a pretty nice bring this week. I was able to like with Thick Fat, I was able to take on Volcarona and kill it with a Stone Edge towards the end of the game. Mega Heracross, it did a ton of work. It was able to like kill King. I think it got. What else kills did it get? I think it also killed Lola Muck and stuff. So it was a pretty cool game to watch. It ended up becoming really, really close. Pilo Swine ended up winning it. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Talking about, he ended up winning RizzyPOW. He finally won his first game, so that's really nice for him. He's actually a really good player. I've seen and I've played against him before. So hopefully he can come back up. I don't know. I don't think he's eliminated from playoffs at all. Because we're not even halfway through the season. So if he continues to play a lot better, he definitely can have a shot to turn the season around. That's why I put him around 12, because I feel like he has a lot of potential as well. But we'll see. Like compared to other 1-4 teams. But the last 1-4 team is the Carolina Talonflames. So if I recall correctly, they went up against Fallop this week, and yeah, they didn't. They kind of didn't do too well versus Fallop. Fallop, I feel like, played really, really well. He just couldn't do too much versus Fallop because, like, obviously Tapu Fini was able to taunt stuff like Necrozma and like Rest Run and Wash is kind of cool, but it just wasn't able to help him completely because he ended up dying to a +2 Continental Crush because Lando is an amazing Pokemon. But yeah, and then also towards the end of the game, he just straight up lost to Skarmory, especially after Rotom Wash died to Lando at +2 with a Z move, and then at some point he ended up sacking his Infernape, and then he literally had nothing to kill the Skarmory, and he ended up killing it like last turn, but he had to sack off pretty much his entire team, and he ended up losing that game. It was 4-0, but it was really in Fallop's favor, especially towards the end game. You could tell. But yeah, that's it for that game. He didn't perform the best, but we'll see. What else? Who's next? Am I going to talk about Allied?
I'll grab Chris real quick. So we already talked about this game a little bit, but next up at number 10 for me and number 9, I believe, for Riz is the Portland Timbers, coached by Togavor. Again, playing Andrew Muse the best in his Portland Trail Blazekins, picking up a nice close win there in that matchup. But the most important thing to point out here is he brought the Diglett, and he won the game because he brought the Diglett. So congratulations to Chris for that.
When are you gonna?
That was pretty cool. I might bring Diglett at some point in the near future. We'll see. Maybe. But we already talked about the Tangrowth set. That was really, really clutch here. Just nice prep on Chris's end, and really in the end game, I felt that he basically just made all the safe plays necessary just hoping his opponent would misplay, and that's exactly what happened. So I'm not sure if that's exactly what he was playing for a misplay, but that's what he did, and it worked out pretty well for him, where the Tangrowth was able to stall out the remainder of Andrew's team. So props to Chris on the win, moving up to a 2-3 record. I really think he has enough potential to be up there with the big boys here in this league, so we'll see if he can turn it around. Haven't been the most impressed with his prep and his draft so far this season, but we're only about halfway through, so we'll see if he can turn things around. But with that, we'll kick on over to Riz to talk about Verd.
Alright, so Verd, he went up against Turkey today. Went against Turk, and so Verd, he ended up, this was a pretty overwhelming victory by Turk, but like a lot of stuff that Verd could have done, like he knows that he could have done. I remember after the match he was talking about, I even actually watched his video for this match. There's like a lot of stuff that he could have done to prevent him, like he could have even won this game. So like Scarf Zard actually kind of wrecked Verd this game. There's also stuff like he brought Webs, which is cool, but some stuff that he like misplays in this match that could have probably prevented him the game. If you guys have watched the game, then you might know. But like for example, there's I think there's some point in the game when Turk couldn't really pivot into Terrakion that well, especially since he didn't have his Flame Orb off on his Milotic yet. So first turn he switched into Milotic. He took like 70%, and then he got his Flame Orb boost, but that was too late. And after that, he pivoted out into Reuniclus, and Reuniclus took about 38%. And at that point, it was in range of X-Scissor, but he decided not to go for X-Scissor just in case it was Tanga Berry Reuniclus, and it wasn't Tanga Berry Reuniclus. So if he went for X-Scissor right there, he would have been able to kill the Reuniclus. And then on top of that, later in the game, his Weavile, he went for Iron Tail, which I don't think this is as big of a misplay because like even though it can be kind of obvious, it's kind of hard to tell. But he Iron Tailed the Deontay, didn't kill it, and then he lost Weavile. And after that, he went in Whimsicott and wasn't able to kill the Deontay with Giga Drain. So Turk was able to get rocks up, and Verd's team is extremely weak to rocks with both like he had a Galvantula, a Victini, Weavile, and he had no hazard removal. So the fact that he didn't go for taunt with Whimsicott versus a Deontay just put him so much in the back, especially after losing Weavile, since Milotic was already super weakened. He did not have a good switch into Weavile. Yeah, he just didn't play the best. Turk definitely got a really good win versus I hoped him a lot, and it hurt Verd. But yeah, there's not too much else to talk about. We'll also talk about it a bit more when we get back to Turk. So I guess we will move on to who's next.
Our number 8. I think we both have him at number 8. Yeah. So I'll talk about the Carolina Pantherians. We already briefly talked about this. This was the man that played against Volume and his Arizona Dactyls. Pretty cool prep overall, I felt, for Techno in this game, most notably a Scarf Heatran, which nabbed a couple nice kills. Looked like it was actually about to pick up a nice 4-0 sweep, or turning the game into a 4-0 sweep at the end, but was revenged by a pretty cool HP ground Scarf Articuno. But yeah, overall, pretty cool game, pretty good game. Was actually really close toward the end, like I already mentioned before, but still a nice win for him, moving him back up to the top half of the rankings. Really tough to know exactly where to put him because he is a 3-2 team, but his wins, if I recall correctly, are mostly against teams on the bottom half, or bottom half of the rankings, that is. So tough to know exactly where he belongs, but for now I'm going to keep him about in the middle, and we'll see if he's able to get himself off of the 500 line. We'll just see what happens on that. So from there, I've actually got a few in a row that I'm going to do myself here. So I have number 7. I believe Riz has him as well at number 7. That is the Arkham City Delibirds, coached by A12. And he lost a game against the Dallas Starmies and Rob Jr. this week, which was also very, very close, although they really didn't have much at all for Megaladios, which seems to be a trend this season in the CPC. I'm not really sure what's up with that. I've never seen Megaladios put in this much work in the first 5 games of the season, but it's either Rob Jr.'s prep or the draft's just not really properly covering things like Megalodios, but I'm going to side with this as Rob's prep. But it's been doing a lot of work this season, a lot of damage, and in combination with all of the entry hazards that Rob set up in this game, he was just worn down. He just didn't have enough ways to deal with the Megalodios. But I will say that there was some really cool prep on A12's part that could have caught the Megalodios off guard, and that was a sub Custat Berry Kyurem that I assume was designed to lure in the Latios from a low amount of health, because the Custat Berry would allow the Kyurem to outpace the Latios due to that boost in priority. So that could have been game changing if that worked out for him, but unfortunately the situation never really could arise for him to be able to pull that off. So he did have to settle for a loss, but it was an impressive loss at that, in my opinion. So I decided to keep him here in the top 8 for sure, and sitting here at number 7. Now for my number 6, and I believe Riz's number 5. Yeah, we have the Brisbane Breloons, coached by Aberforth, picking up a loss this week against the Virginia Tech Frokies, who are still undefeated. So obviously no shame in losing to Jake, being one of the 2 remaining unbeaten teams in the league, but I don't know, I just wasn't really too impressed with Abe's prep in this game. With that said, I don't feel there was much he really could have done about this, but Scarf Hoopa just kind of body bagged him. I would have liked to see a Scarfer or 2 that'd be able to revenge a Scarf Hoopa, when he's obviously not going to bring a Breaker Hoopa whenever whenever Abe's team is hyper offensive. So it was definitely going to be Scarfed, if not Salic Berry in some capacity. But yeah, I just didn't really see the prep for Scarfed Hoopa, and it pretty much ended up bodying him late game. Granted, I do think that an early 50-50 involving the +2 shift tree, and I don't remember what it was against, but I think Aerodactyl, and Abe lost a pretty clutch 50-50 there, where the Aerodactyl went for an attacking move, but when Abe did not click Sucker Punch, I think that shift in momentum might have had a bigger impact on the game than the presence of Scarf Hoopa. But even so, because Abe lost that 50-50 and lost his shift tree, lost his priority, and really his only switch in for Hyperspace Fury, and that's really a loose term, that's not really a switch in at all, he was just in a horrible position against the Hoopa, and then got swept by it ultimately at the end. So tough loss for him. I'm sure he really did. The prep, it's really tough. I feel like he had ideas on how to handle it, but I think they could have been better, just better prepped for overall to deal with the Hoopa. But I don't know, it'll be interesting to see his thought process on that. Definitely recommend you check out his video if you haven't already, to see what his thought process was on that, because that's something I'm definitely interested in myself. So with that, I'll let Riz talk about Paul.
Alright, so Paul this week, who did he go up against? Let me check. Oh god. Oh, he went up against
Flames.
Yep, went up against them. So again, I've talked about this match a little bit before. He ended up beating, and it was really in his favor. Ended up being a 4-0. But Skarm just at the end of the game just walled his entire team and was able to beat him. Finny was great this matchup too, just being able to taunt the Necrozma. Z Lando putting in some work, just killing off the Rotom, which was one of the biggest things threatening Skarm in this matchup. Braver just hit super hard. After Necrozma was weakened and Rotom went down, he didn't have a Braver switching from Skarmory. So Infernape dies, Decidueye, it takes a ton. Mega Pinsir doesn't want to take it, and Mega Pinsir can't beat a Skarmory really 1v1 anyway, and Noivern is frail, it's not going to take it too well. Some cool stuff, I think he was also taunt Mega Glade, which he showed off pretty early in the game, which was also cool because, his opponent had a Necrozma. He also has Misty Terrain, so he can't really Toxic it. He just had some really nice prep this game. Paul really definitely deserved the win. Some cool prep. Again, his opponent didn't really have anything for some stuff on his team. But yeah, that's pretty much it. There's not too much to talk about it after I've already talked a bit about the game. Paul got a really nice win, and I think I raised him up to number 6. What was he last week for me? Oh, I kept him around number 6. Well, it's hard. Sorry. Never mind. Forget what I just said. But like, yeah, he's still in the top 6, to be fair. So,
Yeah.
You know. But yeah, I think we're moving on to the Dallas Starmies, and Joel's going to talk about it.
Yeah, so we already talked about this game a little bit as well. Dallas Starmies at number 4 for both of us, coached by Rob Jr., picking up the win against A12 and his Arkham City Delibirds. Moral of the story, Megaladios doing what Megaladios does best, picking up several kills in this game, but it was supported by a lot of really nice prep on Rob's end. The Hazard stack wore down A12's team quickly, particularly the Toxic Spikes, to the point where the only thing that A12 really had that could effectively check the Megaladios was the Tapu Koko's Dazzling Gleam, and that only does like half, maybe not even half if it's a bulky Megaladios. I don't think the game came down to a damage roll basically with the Tapu Koko's Dazzling Gleam against the Megaladios, and A12 was not able to get the roll, and therefore the Lati was able to pick up the remaining kills in the game by surviving that. So it was just a really well prepped game in my opinion by Rob. He deserves to be in the top 4. He's been playing super well all season and really showing what Megaladios can do in the right hands. So props to him for that, and I really do think he is a title contender this season. So excited to see what more he can do here throughout the rest of the season.
All right, so we're going to move on to number 3 then?
Yep.
All right, so we got my boy Turkey. So he brought Scarf Charizard this week, which was actually really good. It was able to check a lot of Verd's offense. Oh yeah, he went up against Verd. I forgot to say that. We both of them have at number 3, I believe.
Yeah. You dropped him 2 points though for losing. Can't believe it. For winning. Sorry, you dropped him 2 points for winning.
Yeah, it was kind of hard because last week, like.
Yeah, you had him at number 1 last week.
I'm not gonna say he didn't deserve the number 1, but like it's kind of hard. So yeah, it was just hard. Power rankings are hard, but he had a Scarf Zard with Fire Blast, just able to check a lot of this team, especially with rocks up, because Verd ended up not bringing Mega Blastoise, so he had no way to get rid of rocks. So his Fire Resist, being like Victini, ended up taking 25% every single time it came in. Terrakion still was going to be taking a chunk because Terrakion's not like super bulky. I don't think Turk was even able to get rid of webs the entire game, but did he have defog on? No, he didn't. But yeah, there's not too much to talk about this game. Like he was able to get a rocks up. He was able to, like, his berries work with like Bidberry, Deontay. I think it was a berry on Reunion as well, but I forget what exactly the set was. I don't remember, but also some stuff. He didn't have like a good switch into Terrakion, which kind of sucked. He ended up switching Melodic for like turn 2 or 1 and ended up taking a huge chunk, and that really hurt him during the game. And it gave Verd a chance to win, but Verd, again, like I said earlier, didn't play the best. I think he could have played better, and he knows that too. So yeah, I guess we can just move on to the next person. Turk definitely deserves the number 3 spot. Maybe you could argue that Rob and him could be switched up, but both are doing really well this season. But yeah, next up we got Jolt with the Virginia Tech Frokies.
Yeah, so number 2 for both of us, we have Jake and the Virginia Tech Frokies. Still undefeated on the season. He's been playing super well, prepping really well. Really can't say anything negative about him, honestly. This game was also really big for him. He played Aberforth and the Brisbane Breloom, a really threatening offensive team, and he brought all the right sets to take it down, and most notably the Scarf Hoopa that Abe simply didn't have switch-ins for, that I already had talked about when I talked about Abe. Maybe lacking a little bit in prep there on Abe's end, but still it was the prep on Jake's end that put in the work and put him in such a great position to win the game. He also won the clutch 50-50 with the Aerodactyl versus the +2 Shiftery, basically avoiding the death by Sucker Punch and taking out the Shiftery, I believe, with a Z move, if I recall correctly. So again, solid prep on his end, very big win, and congrats on remaining undefeated. So, Riz, you want to finish us off with the number 1?
All right, so we got Yost number 1. He went up against 681 Shadow this week, which was pretty decent game. I mean, Shadow he ended up doing not too well. But Yost, he ended up getting a really nice victory this week. It was really short, and he was able to, like, with the Nasty Plot Togekiss was really good versus the team. He was able to flinch down like stuff like Mew and Steelix, which kind of sucked. But that's what Togekiss does, you know. So end game Greninja was able to win. And I don't think much else was shown. I said earlier, Kyron Black, ICMZ, it's just an insane move that, I mean, Z moves are a bit broken, but they're also pretty fun. You know, you just saw Snorlax drop, which made me cry a little bit, but it's kind of cool to see that the pure power of Kyron Black.
I especially like to see it Oko Snorlax, to be honest.
Why? Why especially
because
Snorlax?
It makes you squirm.
Huh? Wait, it makes me squirm?
Yeah, you don't like that.
I don't. Wow, I feel upset.
I'm sorry, Riz. I apologize.
Okay, but yeah, there's not really much else to talk about.
I'm not really sorry, Riz. I'm not sorry at all.
Wow.
Anyways, power rankings.
Jolt? No, I'm done. I quit. Alright, anyway, there's not really much else to talk about. Like, the only 3 Mons that even came out were Kyron Black, Togekiss, and Greninja. I don't think any Mons really did anything, did they? Lando came out. But yeah, it was just a really good win for Yost and kind of dominated right here. But yeah, that's pretty much it with the power rankings.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. So I guess with that, we're just going to wrap this up. It's a little shorter than usual, still basically in the same rough time interval, but you know, thanks for watching, guys, and we will see you all with next week's power rankings. Potentially, hopefully we can get them out. Sounds like our schedules aren't going to align too well, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and we will see you all next time. Peace.
Bye.